pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to declare an open meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
First and second, declare an open meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. Motion carries 5-0. The Open Meetings Act is posted on the door back there. Care to read it? Roll call. Champs.
Yep.
Present. Jim.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Myself here. All counted for. We'll start off by approving the agenda. Starting. Anything? Somebody has something? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as stated.
Second.
Second.
First and second, approve the agenda as stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carries 6-0. Discussion items, number 8, legislative update. Senator
Consent agenda.
Gregor.
Consent agenda.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, darn.
we better pay the bills.
My bad, 7 consent agenda. The minutes. Very well done, as usual. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Nobody has a issue with that. We'll move on to the financials. Nobody has any questions on that, we'll move on to claims. Guess their gas bill's going higher, but it didn't seem much higher than usual, did it?
Yeah, it's,
Is it higher?
I've never had it over 5,000 before, so that's definitely a jump.
Fuel bills are going up too, I suppose.
What?
The fuel bill.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Anybody have any questions or need more time on that? I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agendas.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Then first and seconded to approve the consent agenda as stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to discussion items. Number 8, legislative update with Senator Tim Gregor. Welcome to our meeting, Senator.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Maybe I'll just stand up over here if y'all can hear me from there. Real quick, I'm Senator Tim Gregor. Actually, Plainview got pulled into District 40 after the last redistricting. So brought in the north part of Pierce County and Antelope County, and Rock and Boyd County went to the 43rd district. So that's how Plainview and Osmond came into the 40th now. Tim Gregor, I grew up in Creighton. I graduated from Creighton in '77. I went into the military in '77 and retired in 2017. So I spent 40 years in the military. I spent 31 years with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. And what I did is I retired from both of those, and I sat for a couple months, and I thought, damn, what am I gonna do? So I ended up doing this job. After Senator Tom Brewer came and kicked me off the fence. The reason I ended up here, I guess, is I just feel, we're not gonna change anything with opinions. It's actions that are gonna change our community, our state, and in our government as far as that goes. And so that's what I've done pretty much my entire life. I was 30 years on the Creighton Fire, Volunteer Fire Department, and 12 years on the Creighton School Board before I took this on. So I heard that, this is limited time, so we're gonna leave it at that. I did deploy 4 times to the Middle East as a medevac helicopter pilot for 23 of those 40 years. So I always like to get that in there because I guess that's the best accomplishment I feel I've done in my entire life. So, very rewarding mission. What I'm gonna do, I had my staff, my LA legislative assistant, grab the bills that, through the education committee, that were approved this last year, and I'll quickly go over them. If there's one that catches your attention, or you think there is more debate needed, the debate's over with, but that doesn't mean, like one of these bills I'm gonna cover, 1112, I'll cover it when I get there. So let's start out with LB 754, Bostar. What this bill did is it extended the commercial air filter. He got this approved back in 2021, and the COVID hit, so the kids weren't really going to school. What this bill's all about is the air, the quality of air in the classroom, and they're going to be studying that if through this grant to monitor the quality of air, and if that has anything to do with grades. So that's what that bill's all about. LB 758 is Brandt. It came from Brandt. He got this. This is an extension to the bill he got approved in 2021 also, and it's the Farm to School Program Act. This is a good one. This is where we raise vegetables and stuff, and beef and whatever right at the local level, and utilize them in the school, and getting and to further extent getting the kids involved in a possible garden and raising vegetables and stuff like that. But what this does is it extends it to the early childhood education program. So it's even going down to little kids, where their food comes from. It's not the grocery store, is what Senator Tom Brandt was after there. LB 852, Day, require behavioral health point of contact for school districts, provide a mental health first aid training and change education innovation grant. This is one about mental health is a real concern. It's not a concern, it's a problem in a lot of our school districts throughout the state. And what she wanted with this is that those children have a point of contact within the school, that someone they can go to and be able to visit with, and that these people, whether they're a teacher, that's up to the school district, who you assign to be that point of contact, whether it's a teacher, an administrator, or somebody within the building, but proper training. And the training here in the last sentence establish the intent of the legislature to fund such mental health training through lottery funds, and makes revisions to the Nebraska Innovation Grant Program. So this isn't, which I'm always concerned with, mandates, unfunded mandates. So this is one that sounds like money's gonna come with it, so accordingly, I don't think we have the issues like Omaha and Lincoln have on this subject, and a lot of subjects we'll have, but it's just something to take a look at or keep note of. LB 888, Dave, she required the State Board of Education to adopt standards for education on Holocaust and other acts of genocide. This one about derailed on her in final reading. She wanted the Holocaust added into what we already teach in social studies, some of that. And Senator Justin Wayne wanted to add other things to it at the last minute, last second, and he got shot down on it. But it'll come back. He can bring it back next year and revise it from there. But it was only fair that she worked hard on this, and it was only fair that she got to carry this forward without Wayne putting an amendment on it, a floor amendment on it in final reading. That's just, it's not good practice. LB 902 Angular from Grand Island adopt the Nebraska Career Scholarship Act, this is a good one, established the Nebraska Career Act, in statute. Previously, these scholarships have been provided exclusively, from the budget bill. Provides a scholarship to students who participate in internships and work programs. So, this one went over easily, and, just giving scholarships out there. LB 1057, Brewer, change provisions relating to Class 3 schools, districts. Brewer's out there in the 43rd district, which is from Wyoming all the way to Rock County, you know, out here, a whole county. And then he's got about a third and maybe more than a third in Nebraska just to get his 40,000. Each senator represents 40,000 people. So the geography, it's getting to the point, how much can you travel through to represent that many people? But where this bill is going is that the District 3 schools, which is a school district with is the only school district in the county and has a high school within 15 miles on a reasonable improved highway. The enrollment threshold has changed from 35 in grades 9 through 12 to 45 in grades K through 12. So you can see that the number of kids is going way down and especially after Valentine and how far these kids have to travel, that he wants this changed. Some of the stipulations changed, and instead of evaluating it every year, he wants it every 4 years, and that passed. So for out there in his woods. LB 1112, McKinley, adopt a Computer Science and Technology Education Act to provide and change graduation requirements and academic content standards. I heard, I didn't hear, and one of the big things, I'll cover some just a touch later, but one of the biggest things is get to your senator early. Know those education bills and know how it's gonna affect this school. This bill, 1112, passed through general and I voted for it. And it passed through select and I voted for it. But then I started hearing from the superintendent. I didn't hear from one superintendent until I got to final reading. And then I decided, and I gotta tell you, usually I don't do that. Usually if I voted general and select, I've heard enough of the debate, I've heard about it, but I heard from enough superintendents from our district that I did change my vote. However, this 1112 did go forward. And what it's about, why McKinley, Senator McKinley is from North Omaha, and they've got kids that unfortunately don't get the computer experience that I guess our kids get from grade school through elementary and on. It's to the point that when they come out of school, if they graduate, they don't know how to run a computer. And in today's, society, in today's business, man, you gotta know how to run a computer. And so that's how important it was to him, and I thought, and then he was also saying all the coursework was gonna be free, was gonna be provided. It can be completed over the computer, but of course, that all is up to the school board, the superintendent through the school board, how you're gonna handle it. But my take on that would be, what are your graduation requirements? When were they last updated and what kind of room do you have? But when the legislature sits there and starts coming down and piling more on, there's only so much time in a day, I understand. So you gotta decide what the priorities are and what it's gonna take to graduate. So 1121, I've got a note here from the chairman, Senator Chairman Waltz. She's from Fremont and she's very approachable. She was a teacher at one time, and she wants me to tell you that 1112, the computer science bill, they understand that the bill, the school districts have problems, and they're already starting to a process to see what they can do with the issues. So there are issues with this bill, and they're admitting it, and they're on top of that, and gonna work that, especially for our schools out here in the rural area. And my last bill I wanna talk about here is LB 1218, and this came from the Education Committee. And it's adopt the Tech in Nebraska Today Act. Provide for income tax adjustment and change provisions relating to certification of school employees and student loan forgiveness. So some of these in here, it's gonna offer, some of the key points in here, it's gonna offer an additional $1,000 of student loan forgiveness to participants in the Attracting Excellence to Teaching program after the successful completion of their student teaching. So there's opportunity for some of our new teachers to grab a few extra bucks. And then the other one is Adopt the Teacher Act, the Tech in Nebraska Today Act, which provides student loan repayment assistance for eligible Nebraska teachers in the amount of $5,000 per year up to $25,000 per teacher. The assistance is exempt from state income tax, and they appropriated $5 million for this program. So this is something you probably want to take a look at this bill, and it could be some with the way our workforce is today, with the teachers, with the nurses, with a lot of other things, is some incentive to have a teacher come to Plainview. Those are some of the bills, and if somebody was tracking one of these bills and would like to discuss them further, we can, but otherwise, what I'm gonna do next is cover some interim studies that are going on. Interim studies will happen this summer when we're out of session, and they're just like hearings with the Education Committee. And the first one is LR 354, and Senator McDonald is bringing this interim study to examine the education experience and outcomes of the youth in foster care. And I'm not gonna pretend to know what the hell they're about, but you take that one-liner there, and that really strikes an interest. I would highly suggest that you get a hold of McDonald and see what exactly this interim study is about, whether you want to attend it and get it right on top of it. Chairman Waltz, LR 359, there's an interim study to examine whether Section 79-458, which authorizes certain property holders to attach their property to a different school district through a freeholder petition, should be updated or eliminated. So evidently, there's enough, I suppose, consolidating going around, or in our district, when Newcastle, situation there is they closed up their school, and their district went away. So what they basically did is put all their land over to Arlington, because it was 50-cent levy, and a lot of their kids go to Ponca, to school. So it's a lot closer. So that kind of stuff, going on, and maybe the interim study's gonna take a look at that, 373, Waltz, interim study to examine the feasibility of developing a policy and implementing a statewide process to award college credit in specific programs to study across the public education institution for military education and training. Again, you'd have to contact Waltz and get down in the weeds on that. But, LR 414, McDonald, interim study to examine programming, opportunities, and interventions of students attending an alternative school, class, or education program in Nebraska. And then LB 420, or LR, these are LR resolutions, from Senator Ben Hansen, an interim study to examine the education process and procedure for serving students with special needs. So evidently, there's some issues there that he wants to take a look at and see if they need to be changed. I'm not gonna cover any more of this, I'm gonna leave this with the superintendent, and it has the, current members on the education committee, and it has these bills. Like I said, that's what I would do is, the next session, every bill gets a hearing. So in education, especially with you guys in education, I would, sometimes there can be 50 bills, but especially the bills that come out of committee. That's when I start keying in on them. And, we had 1,100 and some bills to be heard, and you can't even, try to track them all. And even probably with education, that'd be a tough job, and some of them just aren't. But when they come out of committee and they're going to general debate and then select debate and then final, yeah, you wanna be right on top of that, especially if it's gonna affect Plainview, our districts out here. So that's all I have, unless you guys have questions, my time limit's up.
So as you know, maybe tomorrow at this time, we may know who's representing us, because Senator Greger, will be leaving the unicameral, so, certainly appreciate your service.
I appreciate it.
In the unicameral and, as a member of the military.
Yes,
And-
absolutely. Thank you.
And obviously your time for coming to visit with us tonight.
You bet, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Number 9 is technology committee.
Technology committee will need to meet before June meeting. Tom Sauser will come and share, some plans for the next school year. So I will notify the technology committee.
I don't know if anybody took my spot or not. Yeah, quiet, and Jim.
I'm just about on every one of them.
What?
I'm just your go-to guy.
Get all the answers. All right, number 10, review board policy 606.01, 606.02, 606.03, 606.05, and 606.06. What a reading in there. There's a little bit to do with what we're doing right now with updating our curriculum for next year.
Yep.
Every 7 years. How old is what we're getting rid of?
Saxon, I taught it for several years. Yeah,
Mhm.
kindergarten.
30, 40?
Not 40.
Not quite as far.
And not 30. It's probably at least 20 years, I would guess.
Our math was 21 on this side.
It was close. Because I think it did the same time.
Do you have anything any recommendations on changes?
I don't know that we do. I have, obviously, Mr. Schmidt and Mrs. Hodson kind of go through and, which, this is as valuable to us as it is to you, to review policy that quite honestly, we may not have had eyes on for a while. So I didn't hear from either of them that we have a practice that is in policy that we maybe need to reconsider, or if we have outdated language, I think it's all still appropriate, accurate, up to date.
So these forms for public to fill out,
Yeah.
have you ever had one?
I've had one since I've been here, and it was in the first or second year, can't quite remember what the resource was, or even what was concluded, but I know I've had one.
Okay, if nobody has any questions or recommendations, we will move on. Number 11, board development, which is 101 to 105. I got out of it, it's just the good board meetings strengthen superintendent board relations, poor ones weaken those relations.
I have sets out there, just the behavior of the board at the meeting sets the tone for the staff and the community. So, act appropriately, I guess.
No other comments? Alright. Action items. Number 12, discuss and take possible action on purchasing updated ELA materials for $27,948.27. Everyone explain?
This is 7-12 ELA, so it would be all new resources for 7th grade through 12th grade. It would be textbooks along with online, so they could get it e-text. So essentially, they're gonna have everything, hard copy and digital copy, so we can use both. And it's for everything 7 through 12, along with Brit Lit and American Lit, so.
All courses?
Everything, yep, everything for English will be all brand new then.
And this is a 1 year?
It's for 6 years.
6 years materials?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for new ELA materials in the amount of $27,948.27.
Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been first and seconded. Myself, yes. Deb?
Yes.
Mr. Thor?
Yes.
Chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Wyatt? Motion carries 6-0. 13, discuss and take possible action on purchasing branching mines for $8,407.08.
So this is an intervention program that Kyle and I have been investigating for several months now. One of the advantages to this program is it allows us to zone in on specific needs for students. We are kind of doing that, our own attempt at it, but this not only zones in on their specific needs, we are able to track behaviors. This is something that is available to everybody on staff, and our MTSS committee has requested it through the work that they've been doing throughout the year.
So this is K-12?
It is.
program?
It is.
Are there schools in this area using this right now?
Broken Bow is a very strong advocate for the program. A lot of schools around here use EduClimber. So we researched EduClimber as well, but we just felt like this one was much more user-friendly for us and the teachers that are able to navigate the system.
So right now, we're not using anything that does this.
So right now, everything we create is by hand essentially. So we have different spreadsheets to track test scores, to track behaviors, to track performances, anything like that. So essentially, we take all of that and put it into one place. So then a teacher can click on a student and it creates a report card for them, and it'll show them they had this behavior on this day. So anything that is put in there, teachers are able to see. So anybody who's doing an intervention, so say they're not at grade level for math, we set up interventions for them, and teachers will track that to show how far they've got, and then it'll show you how much of the intervention they have done, and then it also shows you their test score the next time that they take it, to see if there's improvement or not.
Does this program provide interventions for behavior ed?
It does have
academics?
interventions on there, so if we're struggling on finding an intervention that works for a kid, we can actually use their interventions and pull them in.
I like the consistency of it. Black and white.
What like behavioral, I guess, what do you consider a behavioral thing? What is that?
So if you have some common offenses with kids that are getting in trouble on a regular basis, they're able to document it. So I know recess was one that got
Yep.
brought up, that one being used.
Like if kids constantly get in trouble?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yep.
So this would be a good thing to have if parents had to come in and have a conversation, you could show.
Yep,
Yep.
it puts it all in one
Daily
place
basis.
instead of us having to pull together 4 or 5 different documents. And it makes it way easier for teachers to document things and put it in there just because it's in one spot.
How does the staff feel about it? 'Cause
100%.
it'll cost, they'll have more work
Mhm.
Yep.
to just, but it'd be valuable.
We started with our MTS team and kind of showed them the pros and cons to it, and then we took this to our staff and had them kind of go through and do the same thing. And it was very hard for them to find any reasons not to pursue this program.
And the biggest one was, right now, we use PD time to put information into our sheets. And the biggest thing they said is they'd be able to use that time to actually create the interventions or to come up with ideas, things to do with those students, to put back into it. So it's really just taking the next step, instead of putting the data in, they actually get to analyze it, utilize it, and have a little bit more time to make preparations, so.
So who has to put the data in though for it to know it?
So
the
like
teacher?
MAP scores and state testing all gets automatically uploaded. And
Okay.
so then interventions, like on this side of the street, we will have an intervention time that teachers will actually put in each week. And so they just have 10 kids that they're responsible for. So they log in and say, do you have this, this, and this done? And the kid will show them and they check them off and it updates weekly. So people will be able to see it.
So like the elementary teachers, they'll like, if child A is the one that gets in trouble during recess, like the teacher will put that in every week or whatever, like.
Or
3 out
they
of
make
5
it a
of the
daily
days or
habit
whatever.
just to get in to log things, whichever system they choose, yes.
Okay.
Just a quick question, Branch Minds, what was the other program you were talking?
EduClimber.
EduClimber.
Yep.
Okay, so how does that work with Matt's work being automatically downloaded into them? Is that the state does that?
So Mr. Sauser would be in charge of it. So he would download all of our scores off of our, off of the cloud essentially. And then he would send that to them in a CVS file and they upload it into the system for us.
So when we send that to them, I guess I'm asking, which one do they prefer? Branching Minds or the other one? Have you
When
discussed?
we send it directly to Branching Minds.
So they're gonna prefer branch.
They're gonna do, all right,
Yep.
okay, I was misunderstanding them, all right, thank you.
So again, this cost is for how long?
This is this year, and then every year it is like the 4,000.
4,600.
There you go, yep, the, half of this price tag is just the, training
For this year, or I mean for next year?
for,
This
in the
coming
fall,
year.
yep.
Okay. But the first year will be the worst, getting everything updated.
Mhm.
So is there anything that you're using in school right now that will automatically go into this?
So all of our
Grades or
MAP
whatever?
scores
Yep.
will go in,
Right.
Acadian's testing will automatically go in.
Yep.
We're also looking at another one.
I
What's
mean,
the name of
nothing
it?
that you're teaching in
Ames.
school though, like what we just purchased before this, I mean, like grades from that or won't automatically go into this?
No.
We'll pull grades and stuff from Power School, because teachers put that in there and then we'll automatically pull that in.
So you guys just basically just feel like this will make you be able to better manage your interventions?
Mhm.
Like
Correct.
it's just a managing tool,
Yep.
Yep.
essentially?
Yep.
Well, if we can help the teachers with time too, we know they're all strapped for time these days.
And then will it track the kid, like if we keep doing it every year, will it track student A from first grade all the way through sixth
From
grade?
when they start
Yep.
school to when they graduate, you'll have it all. Because a lot of that deals with our school goal, because we want to keep longevity over the years. So then we can show trends of where we're performing well, where we need to make improvements, whatever. So when we create our school goal, we have data at our fingertips that'll help us. Instead of trying to pull from different areas, it'll all be in one spot.
And then that'll also be able to show you like if there's a trend where kids are leaving too, right?
Yep.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the purchase of Branching Minds software in the amount of $8,470.08.
A second?
Second.
Any more conversation before we vote? Good. Okay, Wyatt?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Doctor?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carries 6-0. 14, discuss and take possible action on installing new carpet in the high school office, the elementary library, and elementary computer lab for $17,123.13.
So the elementary library and computer lab, I think is original carpet from '94. So so it's had the pitter patter of lots of little feet over maybe 30 years, so, should have directed your attention to it a few months ago when we had a meeting over there, but, start to see more and more places where seams are coming up and such, you know, here and there. Some of it's worn through down to the concrete, just a couple little spots, but it's starting to get worn pretty well, so, and the high school office, I mean, you don't really notice it probably, you know, just when you have a chance visit, but, and these are really not the only places that we maybe need to think about, replacing some carpet in some different places. This carpet in here, for example, I mean, if it attracts your attention to it, this obviously has many more years left of its life, but we have others that are several decades old, so, just wanna give you an opportunity to consider this. It can wait, until you get a chance to look at it between maybe now, this year and next year, but, I did, talk to our friends at Scranton. I'm not sure who they use as an installer, but they've got the product that we wanna use. It's carpet squares, you know, they're 3x3, I think that's what this is maybe, but, darker with a little red line through it, that should have brought that, I think it's over in Kyle's office.
You wanna do that this summer?
Anyway, we've got some carpet that, and again, this isn't it, so if you did approve this for this summer, I will probably ask for, some more next summer of our several decade old carpet. But this would be a good chunk. Again, elementary library and computer lab, original carpet from '94.
Which office is the high school?
High school office, so it'd be Tammy's, the whole high school office section.
Like
so
your
that-
office down
Yeah.
there. So what do you call the office over here then?
Superintendent, yep.
Can't do that.
We can take that old carpet and put it in the superintendent's office.
Well,
It's awful.
that's about 30 years old too, but
Hey, you're just.
doesn't bother me. I'm surrounded by, 70s carpet and wood grain paneling, doesn't affect me. But, you know, every now and then Kelly's gotta get out. I'm better.
I'm not against doing this, but I know we've got a big project coming up that hasn't been torn into yet, and you always find stuff unexpected. And I just have concerns with, we don't have that much extra money sitting around, that if something comes up that we need to do, to me, it'd be more important to do those while they're in that process. You know, if we needed to do it, then, and make the carpet last another year, or at least till they get into it and start going back together, and we find out there isn't anything extra.
Are we locked in though on that bid with facility applicants? I mean,
Yes, and I think, Mike, are you talking about facility applicants?
yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Project. I mean, you never know what they get into once they.
I see,
that they may
you'd
not
be
cover.
concerned about any potential change order
Right.
that they didn't anticipate.
Right.
Yeah, I know those things happen, even though I think we collectively, and I know I have privately, said we don't want any change orders. Now, that doesn't mean he might say, hey, we can still do the project as you want, but while we're at it, we found this, you know, and we had a minimal one, you know, several years back, that was a wise
Paused it
idea.
over here for the sports deal.
Yes, I think that was a wise idea.
So if we decided to do in, it would cost us another $15,000-$20,000.
Yeah, so, this isn't, I don't know that there's any, that they're tearing into anything where they're gonna find construction and such, it's just, it's HVAC, so, but you're right, I mean, there's nothing, to say that they might find something that you feel like, oh, I'm glad they saw this, should we take care of this now, it's an extra $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, you know, that could happen.
Did we ever figure out what we were gonna do with the old chemicals in the chemistry lab? Wasn't there some chemicals or something we had to get removed?
Yeah, you were supposed to.
Put them on your grade.
Working on it.
Do that.
Put a chemical in there.
Yeah, take it down to Lower Elkhorn.
Waiting for a state grant to come through to help us with paying for that,
So
which
right
I'm
now
told
that's-
is coming.
That's on hold though?
Which I'm told is coming, yep.
Just wondering, that just seems like maybe a little bit more pressing problem than carpet.
I mean, we do have a little bit of time on this, another month or so, I mean,
Does it-
maybe,
yeah.
maybe not, I don't know.
See
What's
if
your
there's-
date that you're thinking the table would do? I mean, when would you know
Well,
comfortably?
once they get torn into stuff, you know, are they talking about when they're gonna show up? No equipment?
They already have, I mean, they've been working. we've had model electric on the roof many days, when the weather wasn't as nice as today, so they've started. Oh, yeah. And we paid some bills.
Yeah.
Did you send it to me?
How long would it take to put the carpet down?
I would think maybe they
I
need
think he
to.
has-
Well, I could do it on a weekend.
Yeah. I know you and I there, Jimbo.
I know, it's gonna be you.
I draw
We wanna do that while they're in there.
So we can push it. Now, I do know, you know, they did say, even if it was approved tonight, they're not available till midsummer.
Right.
But again, it doesn't affect the mission and vision of the school. And you'd have time between now and next month maybe to put eyes on it if you wanted to, but, we have a handful of places that we probably need to consider over the course of the next few years. You don't,
No, we just.
you just move on, you just leave it go.
If somebody wants to make a motion to do it, we'll just table. Okay, we'll table it, talk about it again next month, we'll see where they're at, if they have
Okay.
anything.
Okay.
15, discuss and take possible action on setting substitute teacher salary for 2022-23. Do you have some numbers on where we're at? and where
We're,
surrounding schools are?
I don't, only talking with a few other schools, I mean, I don't have an array for you. We have a terrific collection of substitute teachers, on any given day, it can be quite challenging. I don't know that we've ever gone a day where we can't find somebody. Now, we have filled in-house a little bit, Kyle and Jen do that, Kyle a little more than Jen. Fill in-house, but would you two be able to speak to, how often have we not been able to find a sub?
It's rare.
Very rare.
Mhm.
Very rare, so, I mean, it's not that, okay, we're not paying enough and the people that we call are being called by other schools right around us that are paying significantly more. We have had the same rate for 2 years. So I would think maybe a nominal increase would probably be in order. We do have several subs though that I know if they had to choose between us and another neighboring district, they would go to the other district because they do pay better.
I have heard from some of the subs that we pay more short-term, or one of the two, and other schools generally pay more on the other one, so I don't know if you know which one that is, or
Probably long-term.
we pay more long-term.
Because we're, after so many days, Kelly, aren't we on the
Yeah.
pay scale?
Your 11th day takes you, you start at 120, on your 11th day you go up to 150.
Yeah.
Didn't we have a conversation a while back with regular teacher pay of so much a day? Anybody remember what that was?
Regular teacher.
Depends on their salary, where they're at.
We
So
figured
that-
something out.
their per diem rate.
Monitoring
Yeah.
something.
Doc Thor, that might have been the summer stipend that when we required teachers to attend a workshop outside
Yes.
of contract time, we're gonna pay them 1/185th of our starting pay, so.
That was it.
That-
What was that, remember?
It's about 224 a day.
I was gonna say we should just go up to like 150 a day for the first day and then to 180, jump it by $30 or something.
I was wondering if we needed to raise one more than the other, if we're lagging on one and ahead on the other,
Or if we need to drop that consecutive thing down to like 5 days.
that'd be a big thing. I mean, a lot
Well,
of times you're at 5 days or more.
Yeah, it's probably, if somebody's subbing for the same teachers for 5 days in a row, that's generally a maternity leave. And that's generally, 10 to 12 weeks. So it would kick in 5 days earlier, a bump.
What are those rates again that we're paying?
120 and 150.
How many hours is a school day? Like for a
Sev-
sub, like
sev-
what time's a sub come?
Oh, they probably arrive 7:40, I'm gonna say 7:30 to 3:30.
7.5 is generally what we
Is,
put in there, so.
when
it's
somebody's
half
not here
hour
for the
Yeah,
full
we
day.
probably need to be like a 2
Well, I would do the summer stipend at 220. 20.
certified teachers that are doing the summer.
But aren't most of the substitutes certified
Well,
teachers?
they retire. I mean, they're still certified.
Not every sub has a full teaching certificate. They might have a sub-certificate. And you can earn a sub-certificate at a significantly lower, I wanna say education level is not the right term, but you understand what I'm saying. You have to have a bachelor's degree to have a teaching certificate. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree to substitute teach.
Thanks
So,
for that.
it is
That's what I was asking you.
it is a valid comment about rate of pay for our certified teachers versus rate of pay for a substitute. Now, they're very valuable and they're very good.
Or do we just do something where it's just $200 a day and nothing about the longevity thing?
I don't know if we need to raise it that much though, 'cause if we're not having problems getting them, I wouldn't have a problem with like a 10 or 15%, but I think maybe 20 or $30 might be a little.
I wouldn't mind seeing some comparable numbers from a couple other school districts. Where we're at, anyway, is that something we
Oh, yeah.
can get for the next
Yeah,
meeting? maybe?
I sure could. I mean, I have some
Or
from
if
a
you
few
find
years
out
ago, so I
which
can.
one are higher
If
on.
we're really lagging in the
Mhm.
area, you know,
Mhm.
find out how much we do have to jump it.
Good call, Wyatt.
Yeah, we've had all summer.
Yeah, we don't even do it now.
Okay, so we'll table that one too.
Yep, I'll have data for you for next month.
Thank you.
All right, reports, activity directors,
I think we can get like the Osmond series.
we're competing. The schools we're competing, right?
Would be Osmond.
Some of ours goes to Tilden.
Yeah, I'm sure Mrs. Steinkaus goes out there.
District competitions are all starting here this week and next week, so track and golf will be underway. We host track here on the 12th, so, if you're bored and you wanna come in and watch it, that would be great. That starts at 11 o'clock, and then we have our athletic banquet on Wednesday night this week at 6:30. We will be doing that in the Pirate Gym, so if you wanna come and eat some Tiger Tavern food, come on in. We did order, one set of new uniforms for the volleyball team, just because we do not have enough for the number of girls she's gonna have out next year, so we had to order 30, cause she's gonna have up to 29 here within the next 2 years out for volleyball, so, and I think we had 20 of the uniforms we have right now, so we didn't have enough. So we ordered those, and then our variety show, that's gonna be out at the band shell tomorrow night. So, they did a practice, a run-through today, and we took, both the elementary and the high school out there and watched it. It was really good, so if you need some entertainment tomorrow night, bring a lawn chair, bring a blanket, head on out and watch that, so.
What time does that start?
That is at 7 o'clock. And that is it for activities.
The only addition I have on our report is that preschool graduation will happen next week, Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Otherwise, unless there's anything specific that you have questions on from our report. What do you guys got?
Graduation, Mike, we have pictures at noon on Saturday.
Can you squeeze that in? I seem to always have about an hour break between pictures and.
I want you good and rested before we start handing stuff out.
So we don't fall asleep during the ceremony.
Your funeral / graduation suit.
My funeral.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we have diplomas to sign. President's report, I don't have anything again. Superintendent report.
Okay, there's, again, certainly been trying to remind folks that, no school for students on the 12th, teacher contract day, but no school for students, we hosting this track. There's your enrollment summary, which is solid. I mean, one of the most important pieces of data that small rural school districts pay attention to, among many other things, obviously, but, that is, should be just a real encouraging, piece of data, for us, and in a good sense that, that we will have, full-size classes on an annual basis for years to come, to educate. And obviously, it plays a factor in, extracurricular activities and having enough kids to participate in the variety of things, that we that we wanna provide from, FFA and FCCLA to all our other sports and activities, so that's encouraging. Here's my meetings out of district, vacation and sick balance. And, I'd be remiss, I guess, if I didn't, address the fact that I know you received a message, just prior to the board meeting. Our building principals, will respond to any concern, with regard to information about, our school buildings. But certainly if there was, if there was an issue that we needed you to be aware of with regard to, anything that's going on in our school buildings, and that, obviously, we don't visit with you about 99% of issues with students and such, because you pay administrators to take care of that, they take care of that. And most everything that we deal with students is what you might expect as just somewhat, typical student behavior, but occasionally, yes, there is something that may require, an evacuation of the building, or, to contact law enforcement if there's a law that might be, of concern here at the school district, that we would certainly notify you of. Okay, so, and we'll continue to do that. But anything that any patron has a concern of, needs to come to the building principal, and then we go from there. Okay, so, just wanted to share that with you, and our building principals are always available, to meet with patrons generally at their request, so, just wanted to share that with you. That's all I have.
Right. I like these numbers, enrollment, there's no drop off. Usually you have a class or two that drops away off, which really messes with extracurricular activities, through the process. These numbers look really nice for keeping us steady flow, so. Anybody have anything else?